Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Hidden Woman Within YouTube channel. And you know the drill. Don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe, and give it a thumbs up. And hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a video. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm actually doing pretty good. It's been 2 weeks since my last video. Working on doing better. I'm working on doing better. So with that being said, let's get into it. I'm not going to be here before you long. You know, my videos are normally 30 minutes or less. This might be a little bit less, but we'll see. So what I did was I went back and I watched the last video. And sometimes I like to watch it because I want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And one of the things that I caught myself in that video saying, I was talking about how there was an incident years ago with my son was in a car accident, and what could I do in the middle of the night? You know, he's in one state, I'm another state. What I should have said was the most important thing that I could have done was to be prayerful, was to be praying that the situation wasn't as bad as it was, or whatever I needed to be doing. So, you know, yeah, I make mistakes in the videos and say things or forget to say things, but you know, I kind of go back. I'm not trying to be perfect, just trying to do things in excellence as much as I can. So I just wanted to let you know, when you think there isn't anything else you can do, pray. That should be the first thing that we do, is pray. Okay, so I just wanted to deal with that. So the last part of the video, I talked about how the power of our words can change the trajectory of someone else's life. And my church, Island Church here in Galveston, we've been in revival all week, our fall harvest, living above it all. And it's been really, really good. And one of the ministers had tapped on the power of our words, and my pastor's been teaching on that. And I don't think that we believe how much power our words actually have. It's like, let me say as an example, and I know I've used this before, but you know, you hear things and you get things in your spirit by hearing over and over again. The word says faith come by hearing, hearing by the word of God. So what I'm repeating it is so that you can kind of get it in your spirit that, yeah, be careful of what you say. Be mindful of what you say. If someone were to say to you, I love you, that makes you feel a certain way. But if someone was to tell you with every vigor that they have that they hate you, it's almost like you can feel them sticking a knife in you. That's how powerful our words are. They bring about emotions. They bring about feelings. Take an old song. It's not just the music, it's the words in the song that bring back memories. Some good, some not so good. Got to be careful what we listen to. So a few weeks ago, I picked up my phone, and you know how when you get your phone that, you know, on the, I guess the front page, I don't know what to call all this stuff, but news feeds pop up. And so it showed a news feed about a young woman and a police officer. And it said something about 20 years later. Well, what happened was this young girl, she was in college. No, she wasn't in college. She wasn't in college. She was actually working at a diner as a waitress, not making any real amount of money. And she was late for work, and so she was speeding, and she got pulled over because she was speeding. And so she immediately went into begging mode. Please don't give me a ticket. I don't make enough money and I cannot afford to pay a ticket, please. And so she pleaded with the officer not to give her a ticket. And he heeded that cry for help, you know, mercy, help me. And he didn't write the ticket. So he told her, if you promise to go to nursing school, I won't write you a ticket. She said, I promise I'm going to go to nursing school. I promise I'm going to go. So he gave her a warning and gave her that word of advice. 20 years later, I did read the story, but I don't remember all the details about it. Somehow they reconnected, or she managed to locate him, and that's how they did the story, because she actually went to nursing school, and 20 years later she was an assistant in the OR, in the emergency room or something. Anyway, his words changed the trajectory of her life. She was a waitress. 20 years later, now she's a nurse. So the power of his words changed her life. Those were good ones. But then you have words that are not so good that also change the trajectory of someone else's life. You could have a young person growing up, and you could have a parent or a relative or somebody telling them that they're no good, that they'll never amount to anything. And then they believe that because they hear it so much. And then when they grow up, they really feel that they're worthless, they have no value. And a quick story on that. This one kind of broke my heart. And, sometimes I get a little emotional, but I don't want to wind up crying on the channel. I just want to be able to tell the story. So years ago, when all my kids were living at home, and my oldest daughter had a little boy that liked her, and she brought him home. And I think that's the third one she brought home. But I think this was the first one. And I'm gonna tell you about the mother too. But this was the first one. So the first one, he was a nice looking young man, and very pleasant, quiet, whatever. So introduced him to me and her father. I was married at the time. And that was it. So I don't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks later, whatever, some time had passed. And I didn't have a washing machine and dryer, so I had to go to the laundromat. Here in Texas, they call it the washateria. But in Jersey, we call it the laundromat. So I was at the laundromat, and I saw this woman, and she had a little girl with her. And she was just doting over this child. And, she was just so in love with her, just being a mom. And I could see the little girl was cute. And, a little while later, this young man walks in. And immediately I recognize him as the young man that my daughter brought home so me and her father could meet him. She didn't bring him home. He came over later. And the woman, he walked over to the woman, and she immediately started talking to him like I have never heard a mother talk to her own child in my life. I've heard women cuss at their children, but this was heart-wrenching. And she told him that he was a worthless piece of, and he wasn't no good. And I'm thinking, oh my God, all he did was just walk in the door, take these clothes. And she started fussing at him immediately. And I was saying, oh my gosh. And he never said a word. He just kind of was like a robot and went through the motions of taking the laundry out to the car, while she told him how he wasn't worth nothing, he wasn't going to amount to nothing. In my mind, all I can think of is, no, he can't see my daughter. He can't. Because in my opinion, at that time, and I don't think it's changed much, that I don't think he could have, over a period of time, separated his emotions from his mother to other women. Because his mother was mean. And oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what he was going through every single day living in the house with her. The thoughts that must have been running through his mind. But anyway, I don't think he had, as a matter of fact, I know he didn't have a healthy image of himself on the inside because of the words that were spoken to him by his own mother. Whew, Lord have mercy. So not only that, I'm going to tell you about the other two boys. The other one that she brought home when we lived in the same house brought me flowers. He came in and I thought the flowers was for my daughter. And he was like, "Oh no, Mrs. Miller, these are for you." And I was like, "Well, thank you." And my husband just looked at me, looked at him. I said, "Yeah, he knew which one he had to try to soften up." And then the third gentleman that came to visit, we were living in another town. Very nice young man, and but nothing ever amounted to any of those relationships, and I'm glad they didn't. So anyway, that was that. But the words that were spoken to that young man happened so often in a lot of different homes that and it's not necessarily poor households. It's just household periods. We never know what's going on behind closed doors, what words are being spoken, what actions are being taken behind closed doors of people's homes. But they come out in public and everything looks okay. But when someone is speaking negative words to you, they impact your life. And you carry those. Now, I can honestly say that I know that isn't true in every single solitary case, because I had some words spoken to me after I broke up with my children's father. And he told me, now I think I told you, now, as a matter of fact, I know I told you I have 4 children. The first 3 children are from an abusive, physically abusive relationship that I was in for 6 years. Was engaged to this man and just realized, no, we can't get married, because I felt, I was young and I thought that if I married him, he could legally, physically abuse me, and there wasn't anything that I could do. So I gave my brother that ring. He rode his bicycle. I said, "Take that ring around and give it to that man, because we're not doing this." And but he told me that nobody was going to want me with 3 kids. But honestly, it didn't impact me the way that, now that I'm thinking, that I thought it would have, because I got married and I had 4 kids by the time I got married. I was a single mom for 16 years. I was involved in another relationship. I was engaged also, and I had 1 son from that. And at that point, I made up my mind. I said, "You know what? I'm done. I've been engaged twice. I've got 4 kids. I'm not married. We shutting this down." And so after my 4th child was born, I had my tubes tied. And I got married. And my husband did not have any children at all, which was kind of unusual. But he didn't have any children. And we had planned to have a child of our own. That's a whole different, it's too long to get into. But we didn't, because we divorced, and he eventually passed away and he went on to be with the Lord. So the words that were spoken over me about nobody wanted me didn't affect me the way that he thought they would, and the way maybe I thought they would. I don't remember for one moment thinking, yeah, he's right. Who is gonna want me with 3 kids? Later on, I was like, you know what? He sure was right. I had to wait until I had 4 kids for somebody to want to marry me. That was kind of my attitude. But so I know that words are spoken that can change your life. I heard a story of a man telling his son that he would amount to nothing, but he would be a ditch digger all his life. Well, I heard that that's what the man was doing. He was a ditch digger. And he was the one telling the story. And obviously he believed it, because he was digging ditches as an adult, because he couldn't see himself doing anything else but digging ditches. The other sad part about speaking words that changes our lives is sometimes the words that we say to ourselves. I have heard people say things about themselves, and I'm like, well, my goodness. If you're going to say that about yourself, what do you think somebody else is going to say? And then what would stop somebody else from saying negative things about you if you're talking negative about yourself? I've heard people, I ain't gonna never amount to nothing. It's always been this way, and it's always gonna be that way. And I'm like, well, in my mindset, it's like, yeah, it will be if that's what you choose to do. if that's what you want to believe, but you can change that. The same way that those words can bring harm, words can heal. But you got to know that. And so if nobody's making you aware of your words, I mean, I've heard people say, oh, I'm so stupid. I can tell you what, I'll tell y'all in a minute, I have not arrived anywhere. But when I'm sharing stuff, it's stuff that I've dealt with or stuff that I'm dealing with. And this is one area that I've dealt with. You will never hear me speak negatively about myself. Oh my gosh, you're so stupid. You know, I'm like, not me. Because I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I'm not worthless. I am the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. I'm not perfect, but I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. So you will never hear me say anything negative about Charlotte. I also don't want to be in a position where I'm saying negative things about anybody else. My grandmother used to say, now she didn't necessarily live by this, but this is what she said. If you don't have anything nice to say about a person, then don't say anything. And unfortunately, in today's society, we all got something to say. Good, bad, or indifferent. We all got something to say. Just go on social media, look at some of that stuff, and go to them comments, and oh my word. Excuse me. So there's always negative words in the air. And but we don't have to take those negative thoughts. You know, they say you can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop him from building a nest. What does that mean? That just because a thought comes, or just because somebody says something about you, doesn't necessarily mean that you take that thing and now you ponder on it. Oh yes, you know, they're right. I will never amount to nothing. I will never have anything. The devil is a liar. You can have whatever you want. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. It's up to you, because it's not what somebody else's words are, what they're saying. It's what you're saying about yourself that makes the difference. And even if somebody does call you stupid, you know, you don't have to receive that. I mean, you ain't got to argue and fuss with nobody about it. They call you stupid. They just call you stupid. You know that you're not stupid. But then if you tell myself, yeah, you're right. You know, they say I'm stupid. Well, as a man thinketh, so he is. Your choice. Your choice. I've heard a couple of stories where, you know, my pastor told a story one time that this man had said that all the men in his family die before they turned 45 or 55 or something like that. And that's what he believed. And so I think before his 45th or 55th birthday, whatever it was, he just dropped dead. Why? Because he believed what was spoken over him to the point he started speaking it too. I'll never live to be past this age because all the men in our family die at this age. Well, I have claimed to be 100. I'm going to live till I'm 100 years old, and I'm going to sleep. My grandfather died when he was 100. He passed away shortly before his 101 birthday. But I took care of Grammy. Grammy came to live with me right at the pandemic in excuse me, when was the pandemic? 2022? I don't remember. Anyway, Grammy came and lived with me. She was 100 when she came. And she was 100, and she stayed with me for a year and a half. And she died 6 months. Let me say August, September, October, November, December, January. 5 months before she was going to be 102. And Grammy went to heaven. She fell asleep. She wasn't sick. I'm not going to say senile, because she and I would have conversations. She would talk to me about how she was growing up. You know, she told me one time that her mother, she drove from one town to the next. I think she was 13 and she drove the car from one town to the next. And I remember her telling me one time how they used to keep their feet warm when it got cold. That her mom would heat up bricks and wrapped them in towels or whatever and put them in the bed, and that's how they keep their feet warm. Bricks, red red bricks. I'm like, because yeah, the bricks would hold heat. And I was like, wow. And she shared some other stuff. But anyway, I'm saying she wasn't sick. She wasn't senile or anything like that. They actually had put her on hospice because she was getting older. Well, not getting older. She was old. She was elderly. And so they would have the nurse come. And I was trying to figure out why they were coming. But she worked all her life. And so she was able to afford to have, medical care. So they come and check up on her. And so one of the things that they started noticing that her oxygen levels were low. And they have what they call when they're starting to die, they actually put her on hospice. And they had to find a reason to put her on hospice because she wasn't sick. She didn't have cancer. She didn't have any terminal disease. She didn't have none of that. So they had to find a reason to put her on hospice. So they put her on hospice because of her age. She was 101. And she could still walk. She's still getting around the house, going to the bathroom by herself, just doing all stuff until one morning she got up and she fell. She fell because she didn't want to bother me, her caregiver. She got up out of the bed to go get a robe because when you're starting to age, your skin gets real thin, and so she sleep with a heating pad. I still do, and she got up to get her robe, and when she took the robe out of the closet, she turned and she got tangled up with the robe with her walker. And she fell. And I heard her hit the floor. Boom, 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 boom. And I was at the table having coffee. And I jumped up and I ran. I'm like, what happened? And she says, well, just help me up. And I'm like, okay. Well, she was probably 100 pounds soaking wet because she was little. But dead weight probably felt like 150 pounds. And I tried to get her up off the floor and I struggled getting her up. But eventually I got her up off the floor onto a bench that was there. But I kept noticing that leg wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. Well, she broke her femur. So she wound up having to go to the hospital. She was in rehab for a month. And she told her son, Ted, to come get her. But, it was during COVID, so he couldn't even go visit. And then she said, well, tell Charlotte to call me. So I called her and she's like, come get me. I'm ready to come home. I said, Grammy, they won't even let me come to visit, let alone come to get you to check you out. But Ted, by the time Ted got done, he had her discharged. So when she came back, she was in physical therapy. But after physical therapy, Grammy was moving around like nothing ever happened. And I kept thinking, because we used to go to Chick-fil-A and, I'd make me a Home Depot run. I was like, Grammy, we got to go to Home Depot. I need to pick up some stuff. And so it was easy to get her up in my truck. I had a Suburban, so she had to step up. Well, I was concerned. I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I don't have a car. How am I going to get her into the vehicle? So I was just like, believe in God. I said, she's going to have a speedy recovery. And she did. So her feet were swollen and stuff. So I bought her a pair of sneakers. And she climbed up in that, with help, of course, even before she fell, with help, I would, get her up in that vehicle and off we go. But it was like it never even happened, really. And so I have claimed that I'm going to be here when I'm 100. And I say that, I heard somebody say, well, he wants to be here at the same time too, but he doesn't want to get trapped in his body. And I understand what that means. And so in order to not get trapped in the body, you got to take care of yourself while you're able. And so that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking care of me. So I speak things over myself. I speak health and healing over my own body. And like I heard somebody say, what's better than healing? Health. I don't want to be healed. I want to be healthy. I am, in a place now that I'm not taking any medication. I'm not telling you that I'm perfect because, we live in a fallen system. And, little aches and pains here and there, but I do everything I can to, I'm on my feet most of the time because at my age, I'm still working full time. So yeah, so at the end of the day, yeah, I'm sore, but I think it's like normal. Even young people, I've heard one girl say, "Oh, my feet hurt so bad," and I'm like, "Well, if her feet is hurting, and she like what 19, 20 years old, what do you expect from me at 67?" So anyway, just those words, they're very, very powerful. So we have to be mindful of what we're saying to others, about others, and especially about ourselves, and especially what we receive from people saying things about us. I know that there's another young lady, she would share with me that somebody was always telling her, "Oh, you need to gain some weight. You don't have a butt. You look so skinny." I'm like, well, I'm glad ain't nobody talking to me like that, because I keep telling y'all, I'm at a place in my life, I don't have a filter. I'm not nasty. I'm not negative, but you're not going to talk to me like that. And even if you do, I got something to say to you. And it will be mindful of, what is my weight? How does my weight affect your life at all? It doesn't. And if I got a butt, or if I don't have a butt, what does that have to do with you? Like Jesus said, what does that have to do with you? So at the end of the day, I just want to, remind you to be mindful of your words. I can see I'm kind of going over my time a little bit or getting close to it. But there's power in our words. Be mindful of what we're saying to each other, about others, and what we're saying about ourselves. I hope you got something out of the video. I got another one coming up. I'm trying to stay on track. Nope, I'm not trying. I'm going to stay on track because I've got some other stuff that I want to share with you about this channel, because it's time for a change within the channel. And I did tap on it before, but I haven't been, up on top of that, but I'm getting ready to be. I've had a change at my place of employment. I'm not so much on my feet anymore. I'm the admin's coordinator. So my hours have changed, and starting next week. And so things are going to be a little bit easier. I have more time to get done some things that I want to get done. So you're going to start seeing more of the Hidden Women Within videos. Changes are coming, and change is good. You guys take care. Have a blessed day, and I love you.